Well, the Tory leadership conference is officially underway. Theresa May finally resigned in shame after her terrible tenure as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She was, after all, a Remoaner tasked with delivering Brexit. Her failure was not a question of if, but rather a question of to what degree. Thankfully, all seem to accept that at this point, and she's finally gone. Now, her replacement will be extremely important, needless to say, for the future of her party. I, as an outside observer, think that this really is the Tory party's last stand. Their party is, at this point, largely discredited by both passionate Remoaners and Brexiteers. So therefore, if they don't pick a side in this, the most important question in recent British history, they are doomed to fail. It is clear that the electorate wants to vote for a party, one way or the other, that has a passionate and clear stance on the issue. Now, when it comes to appealing to Remain voters, I think the Tories have learned that that really is beyond them. There's so many Remain parties in the UK. You've got Change UK, you've got the Lib Dems, and you've got Labour, which is ostensibly Remain, though, of course, they have their own trouble trying to implement their stated position. But the Tories, really, if they want to survive, have to become the party of Brexit. The fact that such a thing as the Brexit Party even exists is a testament to the failure of the Conservative Party in the UK. Daniel Hannan was right on election night when he said that were Brexit to finally be delivered, the utility of a so-called Brexit Party would simply fade away fairly quickly. Therefore, the next leader of the Tory party must deliver Brexit on or before Halloween night. I'm not sure if people in the UK have Halloween, but at least in the US, October the 31st is Halloween. Actually, I guess they would have it in the UK since it is a pagan holiday, and any pagan traditions brought to North America, I would imagine, were from the British colonists. Now, thankfully, Bojo, Mr. Johnson, is doing quite well in the polls. I don't think there have been official polls yet, but he's certainly the favorite to win the leadership contest this time around. Although, of course, we still have some time. He could crash and burn and not become the PM, just like last time. And of course, even if he does succeed, there is the possibility that he could end up being a turncoat. Now, I would hope after this point, after all that has been learned and all that has happened with Theresa May, that Mr. Johnson would not become that kind of turncoat. But of course, my natural skepticism for politicians and attorneys tends to carry through across the world. However, even as a ruthless, cold politician, I would have to think that Boris Johnson would care about his legacy as Prime Minister and would not want to be remembered as the great failure that Theresa May was. I think that most politicians who reach the point of the executive want to be remembered for being great men. Not even if that's not necessarily for the best reasons, even if they're hated by some of the population, I think that people want to be remembered as important historical figures. And I think by delivering a hard Brexit, by pulling the first block out of the Jenga tower that is the European Union, I think that Boris Johnson certainly would be remembered as a great man in history by both his critics and his fans. Now, alternatively, either Bojo could fail or somebody else could get in there who is less of a Brexiteer. Of course, there are other Brexiteers running. But if there are other people who somehow sabotage or at least don't deliver Brexit, as the Tories believe, or as I believe the Tories must do, well, then the Tory party simply will cease to exist as a major party. I think that you still have a lot of habitual Tory voters who will continue to vote for their party even after they are thoroughly discredited in the eyes of ideological Britons, so they probably will end up being a small party kind of like the Lib Dems, and will still exist for maybe one or two more generations before fading into obscurity or merging with another one, kind of like what happened with the Liberal Party. Some other party will spring up on the right to replace the Tories, and just like what Labour did to Liberal, they will be pushed and sidelined over time. And in the short term, if Brexit is not delivered, that party will of course be the Brexit Party. However, that Peterborough by-election I think people put way too much stock in by-elections and special elections, but it was a test of the Brexit Party's ability to get people out and to actually win seats in a first-past-the-post system. And even though they didn't win, I think they still did remarkably well. So I think it's still very much an open question as to how they will perform in a general election. But needless to say, even if they do not perform particularly well in the terms of the number of seats that they win, they certainly will hurt the Tories quite a bit, and I think knock out any chance they have of maintaining their hold on power. Because my guess as to what will happen if the Tories fail to deliver Brexit, what they will in effect do is end up splitting their vote, because the Brexiteers will flood away from the Tory party and into the Brexit party and vote for them. However, there will still be way too many habitual Tories. And so the end result will be that neither the Brexit party nor the Tory party will perform particularly well, and I think that Labour will have a sweeping victory. And yes, that means that finally Jeremy Corbyn will become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now, a Corbyn government, as awful as that may sound for some people, I don't think exactly will mean the end of Britain. It will just mean the end of Britain as we know it. I think that what Corbyn wants to institute are not really realistic policies. I think that most folks who get too scared about socialism, or people who espouse what they call socialism, they give socialism far too much credit as far as how well it will work, because the problem with socialism is not that, it's this great ideology and it's taking over the world and we're all going to end up living in socialist countries here soon. No, the problem with socialism is that it doesn't work. In fact, it's, true socialism, not necessarily what Corbyn promotes, but actual, seizing the means of production and central planning, that just doesn't even work in theory. So what I think will happen if Corbyn ends up getting in is that Brexit will be delayed, but Brexit will not be canceled entirely. Sure, Corbyn will cancel it because he has to keep his party happy, or else they'll put a vote of no confidence in on him if he actually delivered Brexit as Prime Minister. But I think what will end up happening is that things in the UK will get much worse before they get better. I think that Corbyn would be taking over at the start of a global recession, which we're heading into here pretty soon in the next couple of years. So he's going to institute all of these very bad policies that are going to hurt the economy at a time when the economy is going to be in a recession anyway. The UK is going to get very poor. There's going to be a backlash against Labour. The pendulum's going to swing back the other way, and at that point you may very well end up with a real Brexiteer in power who will deliver Brexit. Now, the only problem will be the stupid people's vote thing. If they end up having a second referendum and then the Remainers end up actually winning, well, then that'll be tougher to reverse that, because then you'll probably have to have a third referendum, and then Leave will have to win that, but we'll cross those bridges when we come to them. Because, as I said, there's still a chance for the Tories to hang on to power if they actually deliver Brexit, and if Boris Johnson finally does what was promised all along back in 2016 when Leave won fairly and decisively. So if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and subscribing, and if you do subscribe, please do click the bell, because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you back here tomorrow.